Okay, here we're going to have Paul Pierce in the Truth After Dark podcast. Shout out to that podcast. He is going to reveal the reason why NBA players date white women. Now, I've already been through this many times. This is a bit repetitive, but let's hear his perspective on the situation. Again, shout out to the Truth After Dark podcast, I believe it's called. Let's hear out Paul Pierce.
Why do you feel like men, especially NBA players, get with the white women? Is it because they're easy, quote unquote?
I got some theories, but I really want to hear it from him.
I do too. I want to hear it too.
I honestly think that maybe they appreciate maybe more and they apologize more.
Listen, I'm scared. Hold on. Hold on.
Yes, I mean, you know,
I had an interview with
they don't mind being held accountable.
I'm so scared of this, y'all, because I had an interview with Columbus Short and I asked him this similar question and he said something and I got dragged for fails. I was on Breakfast Club, I was on Chevron, I had death threats for so long from Black women because they said I laughed when he said that. So let me not laugh. I don't have nothing to do with this.
I mean, that's what I think.
I'm black.
Know.
He don't know though, because he dates Black women, period. So do not come for him, period.
That's interesting. I do remember, now that she mentions it, I do remember her from the Columbus Short video. Columbus Short is an actor that had said something similar. He did say something similar, and he kind of listed the reasons why he just prefers just not dating. I don't remember if he said he prefers Latinas over Black women or white women over Black women. I would have sworn he just said he just prefers just to not date Black women at all. Where there's but I also say there's a lot of Black dudes that are just kind of at that breaking point. But when it comes to the NBA players, he's just listing Paul Pierce here. He just listed one reason why. But let's replay it one more time. Let's replay it one more time. We'll speed it up a little bit, just to make sure we ain't missing nothing. But I'll break it down for you a little bit more.
Why do you feel like men, especially NBA players, get with the white women? Is it because they're easy, quote unquote?
And this is interesting, as because I do remember she did get ripped for this, but people, I guess, they looked at her fair skin, or was it because she's very light skinned that they didn't think that she was Black or at least half Black. So she did get ripped for this. I do remember she did get ripped for this. But what's from her perspective as a Black woman, every time they always ask this question, why do Black men prefer dating this race of women over us or this race of women over us? And then it always ends with shaming language. Is it because they're easy, implying that they're a slut, or because they do fellatio and right? It's always some kind of shaming thing at the end of that question, and they're not really trying to see why. Or if a dude finally says why, it's like they're not even gonna take the critique seriously. They're not even going to take it to heart. They're not even going to reflect. This is why technically, say if you're a Black dude and you do prefer to date white or Hispanic or Asian over Black, I think it's not your responsibility to tell Black women why you decide to date your preference. Because first of all, there's way too many Black men that are explaining themselves to people that are not trying to understand you or not even trying to change. That's why I try to tell Black dudes, don't even explain why, because you're just giving them too much power. Just be like, look, just be like Kawhi Leonard, or just be, you know what I mean? Or be like Cuba Gooding Jr., one of these people. They just date who they want and they don't explain anything to anybody. At the end of the day, your preference is your preference. You really don't have to explain yourself. But Black men do have a real affinity for Black women, so they will explain themselves. They will say certain things. They'll try to put things out there. But what Black men don't understand is they're not trying to work with you. They're just looking for a way to shame you, right? Respectfully.
I got some theories, but I really want to hear from him.
I do too. I want to hear it too.
I honestly think that maybe they appreciate maybe more and they apologize more.
Now, I've already explained this at length because a lot of it is just financial, really, especially when you're talking about young when you talk about young people dating, when you talk about black teenagers, white teenagers, right? When you're talking about that dynamic, or if you're talking about why you're seeing more of these black male sports prospects, whether it be basketball, baseball, football, etc., why they're dating Caucasian women more. A lot of it's just financial, and white women understand the long game, and they're most likely to be in a situation where somebody has taught them how to get one of these people, get one of these dudes, or to keep a man temporarily, right? Or you like when I'm talking about Caucasian women, they know how to play the long game, right? Or if it's a Latina woman, she's going to take pride or look like she takes pride in taking care of her man. So even if she doesn't really feel that way, she can trick the average black man into thinking that she's traditional because she has an example, most likely at home, whether it be her mother, her grandmother, one of the two. She has an example at home or in her family, at least one or two examples of women serving their man. So they can pull the wool over their eyes, for a little bit. This is how you'll see a certain black man or these, particularly black NBA players trying something different, right? And then when we talk about the Asian community, when we talk about the Asian women, you don't really see a whole lot of Asian women with black men. But if you do see that, they just know how to play the mouse, right? They know how to play, Minnie Mouse, like meow. They know how to play coy. Like not necessarily helpless, but they know how to play the part. And I'll say this, suburban Asians, right? The Asians that grew up in an American lifestyle, right? Or in American influence, they're the most dangerous because that's basically what they'll do is they'll just basically take what white women do and just take it up to another level. So they're playing the long game / trapping the ninja, and you know what I mean. They're just taking it to another level. So this is why you'll see really across the board, you see a lot of Asian women get desired across the board, a lot, even more than white women. But when it comes to white women in this case, just in this case, they just know how to play the long game. So they will say, I'm sorry. They will buy a PlayStation, right? They will do certain things like this. They will over apologize. I'll say this in my anecdotal experience. Paul Pierce is right. They'll be with you. They'll over apologize. They'll kind of overdo it. You know what I mean? They'll overdo it. They will take accountability temporarily until you cross them, and then their true colors will come out. But that's a whole other story. But Paul Pierce is right in terms of the the over apologizing and all this stuff.
Listen, I'm scared. Hold on.
No,
hold on.
I mean,
I had an interview with him.
Don't mind being held accountable.
But like I said, this is kind of, I appreciate Paul Pierce telling the truth, and I just think I don't really think black men should be even going into the reasons why, because I always wonder, like, do Asian dudes or white women, or white dudes, do they? I've never really seen them in a situation where their race of women are questioning them, like, why are you not dating us? Why are you dating this type of woman instead of us? You know what I mean? You're seeing a lot. Well, you'll see probably like white women trying to question like white dudes. Why are you dating these, these Thailand women and the Philippines women over us? But for the most part, they don't really have to worry about that. But what happens with, the dynamic between black women and black men is because black women are the least picked out of all the demographics of women. There's obviously work for them to do, but overall, most of them don't want to change. But it's almost like it's almost like they know that they're kind of running uphill in the dating market, but they still don't. They're still too stubborn to really do something about it. It's like the same stubbornness that even white women have Like they have the stubbornness of somebody that's on the top of the dating market, even though that's just not true. You know what I mean? So it's kind of, they know they should change, but it's not. They're overall in the dating market, they're not really gonna try to make themselves more desirable. That's why I try to tell, particularly black men, you don't really have to explain yourself, because they're, unfortunately, a lot of people of that community, they're just not going to change, right? So that's all I would have to say about that. Let's check out the comments, though. I found some of the comments very interesting, right? So when I saw this on Spiritual Word, I already know. So right here we got it's Simply Jackson, IG model / fitness model. She goes, because the NBA players like to get pegged and they don't judge. There, I adjusted it for you. So now she's trying to call them gay. It's just every time, what is it with black women being so homophobic, yet they got the most gay friends, man? This is the funniest thing. And her response, kind of, you're proving Paul Pierce's point. And by the way, NBA players, most of them are with black women for the most part. Black men, for the most part, are mostly with black women. But, I digress. Somebody said, how did their preference become our problem? Well, that's the problem there. We're not really supposed to explain ourselves. She asked him a question. He answered honestly. Somebody said, I wish this conversation would stop. Somebody said, men go for women that make it easy, simple as that. Skin don't matter, not complicated. That's what I'm trying to say. But the problem is, when he says easy, men want something that's not a woman that's not going to make their life complicated. But women take that as a diss for some weird reason, particularly black women. You know what I mean? In general, mind you, in general. Okay. Another lady says, there are so many black women who are amazing, intelligent, hardworking, beautiful, loving, caring, mature, and accountable. Let's not play. I'm not saying that's not true, but like, let's not act like ninjas is making stuff up when they're complaining about their dating experiences with their counterparts, right? Somebody said, regardless of color, stop comparing the attitude of a woman that you're treating good to a woman that you treated poorly, okay? Somebody said, we need tariffs on these podcasts, microphones. They always say that when a man is saying something unfavorable to a woman. Somebody said, I know a lot of black women who say sorry and hold themselves accountable. Please stop the attack on black women. Well, they do, but it's two pookies, right? So it's almost like, let's take this off of black women, right? What ends up happening is, with women in general, I'm not even talking about black women now, I'm talking about women. Men will tell women what they want. And when women will still date, the average man or something like that, they just won't care to do what the average man wants. It's only when they get with a man with options or leverage, then they will consider it. So then they'll try to cook and clean. Then they'll try to blah, blah, blah. They'll say stuff like, I need somebody that's going to bring out my femininity. And you're just like, it doesn't work that way. It's either you feminine or you not. Because then what ends up happening is they end up out leveraging themselves with a man with options that they don't understand. That man already has a whole list of women that are already doing what she's doing at a way better rate. And they don't even want the title of his main chick. And yet here she is. She thinks, oh, because I got this high, I don't want to say high value, but I got a guy that's out of my league. And because I cook and clean, no, not then. So then she's going to decide to start cooking and cleaning. And then when she eventually gets her heart broke, then, oh, all these men ain't nothing. No, it's just you out leverage yourself. And you're just not used to doing stuff for men or being of service. So it ends up breaking you when you actually are of service to somebody that doesn't really appreciate you because he already has that. You know what I mean? So that's more of an all woman type thing. But let me know what you think about what Paul Pierce said in the comment section. Is he right? When it comes to white women, do they hold themselves accountable more? Do they apologize more? I will say this in my anecdotal experience. They will overdo it for you, particularly if she's with a man with another race because she's trying to show them something different. But that's all temporary, right? But let me know what you think in the comments section. Please like, share, and subscribe. And